They called it the Killer Mountain. By 1932, Nanga Parbat had already swallowed lives and hopes. Yet one expedition set out to defy the impossible. In 1895, A.F. Mummery, accompanied by 2 Gurkhas, made a courageous attempt on Nanga Parbat from the northwest side, reaching over 20,000 feet before he was lost on the Diama Glacier. Nearly 40 years later, none of the highest mountains on Earth had yet been climbed. In 1930, Dr. Welzenbach considered an expedition to Nanga Parbat, but it was not until 1932 that the opportunity arose. Willy Merkl concluded that the mountain was most approachable from the northeast, avoiding the dangerous Diamari Ridge and the southern precipice, which Mummery himself had judged impossible. From the northeast, 3 potential routes presented themselves: the north ridge from the Diama Pass, the east ridge from Rakiot Peak, and a traverse of the Rakiot Glacier to gain the east ridge. On April 28, 1932, the German-American Himalaya expedition departed Europe under Merkel's leadership. The team consisted of Peter Aschenbrenner, Fritz Bechtold, Hugo Hamburger, Herbert Kunik, Felix Simon, Fritz Wiesner, Rand Heron, and Elizabeth Knowlton, the latter joining as a reporter. During their voyage on the Victoria, they met Hugh Rutledge, who gave them a letter of recommendation to Kashmir's finance minister. Upon arriving in India, they were warmly received, granted customs exemptions in Bombay, and supported by English and Indian officials in Srinagar, where they also obtained permission to enter Gilas territory. On May 23rd, their baggage was loaded onto ponies at Bandipur, and they began the march along the Gilgit Road toward Nanga Parbat. Crossing the snow-covered Tragbal and Burzil passes, they descended to Shirdakothi and followed the Kirim torrent. Near Godhai, they first glimpsed Nanga Parbat, its immense southern wall leaving them breathless. In Astor, their last stage, they were joined by Captain R.N.D. Freer, whose language skills and reliability proved invaluable. A week in Astor was spent recruiting porters and studying the route. Restricted from disturbing inhabitants, they had to traverse high ridges at 10,000 to 13,000 feet, making for one of the longest Himalayan approaches yet. Crossing the Lichar, Buldar, and Rakiot ridges, they discovered the Buldar Glacier impassable and instead reached the Rakiot Valley, where they camped in a meadow they called Fairyland, beneath Nanga Parbat and its satellites. 4 weeks after leaving Srinagar, they established their main camp at 11,800 feet. Soon they discovered 10 loads of equipment stolen, a serious setback. On June 30th, the assault began over the Rakiot Glacier. Camp 1 was set at 15,000 feet, but a night avalanche collapsed the tent, frightening the porters, who demanded higher wages. Still, they pressed on, establishing Camp 2 at 60,700 feet among seracs. On July 5th, Camp 3 was erected, and on July 8th, Camp 4 at 19,000 feet became the advanced base. From there, they could oversee the entire route. On July 14th, Aschenbrenner and Hamburger climbed Chongra Peak, and on July 16th, Aschenbrenner and Kunik summited Rakiot Peak. By July 18th, the entire party was at Camp 4, but snowstorms delayed progress, and Kunik fell ill with appendicitis, removing their doctor from the climb. On July 23rd, Merkl, Aschenbrenner, Bechtold, and Heron pushed to Camp 5 at 20,330 feet without porters. Frostbite forced Aschenbrenner down, reducing their strength. On July 25th, Merkl and Bechtold broke through a dangerous valley, cutting steps through ice to establish Camp 6 at 21,750 feet. Attempts beyond proved exhausting, and Heron and Simon suffered heart trouble, forcing them back. Without oxygen, progress above 23,000 feet was nearly impossible. On July 29th, Merkl, Bechtold, and Wiesner finally reached the ridge leading to the East Peak, setting Camp 7 at 23,000 feet. Just as success seemed within reach, heavy snow forced them back to Camp 6 and eventually down to Camp 4. Further attempts in early August were beaten back by storms. Provisions dwindled and the suffering of the porters worsened. A final effort planned in mid-August was again stopped by fresh snow, and 9 of 12 porters fell ill. Camps 5, 6, and 7 were abandoned under deep snow, and by late August, the expedition accepted defeat. Their attempt had failed, yet the expedition endured weeks of hardship, avalanches, illness, and bitter weather in their struggle against the mountain. Though the summit was not reached, their effort marked a significant chapter in the history of Nanga Parbat.